Let's open up with the Avowed delay, Korkenstein. This happened. Now, again, it was a rumor that came the way of Tom Warren of The Verge. I don't know if it has been officially confirmed. Can anyone advise whether or not we got, because I looked this morning when I got up at 6 and I did not see anything regarding the delay, an official announcement. But listen, let's just play coy here, Korkenstein, and let's just say this is being moved. Now, I do have, let me just pull it up here, folks. I should have had it ready, but I do have a story here from Jez Corden of Windows Central, who I made mention about in the beginning, regarding the delay. Look, this is a situation that I think we're going to start to see a little bit more than we've ever seen before, because we are in an era where roles in regarding first party games, folks, have reversed. I mean, this isn't a console war rhetoric opinion. This is just, hey, let's just look at the facts. Let's just take a minute, take a breath, and before people start flinging poo, let's just see what's going on. Xbox just had one of their most powerful presentations in company and Xbox history. There is no doubt. I don't think there's a year that we could look to that was better than this past June for first party reveals, right? The most ever in one show. With that said, if you look at Team Blue, well, they're a little bit light. And I'm potentially being a little facetious there. I'll say they're a lot light. They have a few games that are coming out, one of which is going to flop, which is Concord. The other one I think is going to surprise a lot of people. I really do. Is Astrobot. I said it on the other day. Not only am I buying it, when that controller goes on sale, I'm buying the controller. Like, I'm straight up nerd like that. I don't care. That controller is dope because it blinks. Like, it has the Astrobot eyes on it, and it blinks. How freaking cool is that? I'm definitely getting that controller. The same way I just bought the crystal blue controller for Xbox. Do I actually need one when I have 21 controllers? The answer is no, but that controller looks dope as well, so they're getting my money. But listen, Avowed is something that I'm personally looking forward to because I am an Obsidian fan. I loved everything that they have done prior. I was a big fan of the Knights of the Old Republic 2, and that's going way back, right? You go back to, I mean, they've hit some bangers in their careers, and one of which is my favorite. My favorite Fallout is Fallout New Vegas. That's tip of the spear for me. I very much enjoyed Outer Worlds. I had a very Mass Effect-like experience with it simply because of the character interactions. And Avowed is expected to kind of mirror that and take it to the next level. So, of course, that was slated for 2024. Well, according to what is now being passed around as information and in some circles as fact, the game is going to get a delay into early 2025. But it's not because the game is in trouble. Now, I did reach out to a couple of connections that I have, and development-wise, this game is cooking. They've done some real work. They took a lot of the feedback with the with the combat and the movement, and it's going to be a banger, folks. But what we are hearing is that for the fall, which if you look at the quarter, which is October, November, December, is loaded and it's packed with Xbox first party and more specifically Xbox Game Pass. They don't want this game buried. Korkenstein, is this the right move?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it, if you're really looking forward to this game, of course, it's, a little disappointed, but, coming from, a QA background in the video game industry, you can't understand how much even a month difference makes for like polishing a game. It's something that, especially like a big open world like this, where there's going to be a lot of moving parts, a lot of mechanics, you're going to want that extra time. And the only thing that's going to make this better is extra time. So it does suck for us. But I mean, look at, like you said, this is a stacked end of the month holiday season for Xbox. You want some first person, third person action? You have Starfield DLC, Indiana Jones, Stalker 2. Coming out in the next couple of months. You have your big MMO guy. You got the Warcraft expansion. You have PC for you with that like little RTS sim kind of action. You got Age of Mythology and Aura. In sim you got Flight Simulator 24 with the with all that stuff that's coming in. So there's always something for everybody. At least you're gonna be eating good. It's not like you're picking scraps, over on the blue side. You're gonna be eating very, very good coming up on this end of the month. So I think 100%. I wouldn't blame them if they moved it. They have a stacked end of the year, and if they really do, and I think it's a good thing, because if they really do believe in Avowed being amazing as it is, they want to give it as much light as possible. So it's really refreshing. It's really it makes me really happy that they really believe so much in Avowed that they want nothing but spotlight on it. So that's a good sign. So 100%. A delay, it sucks for us, but it's only going to make the game better.
I agree. I think not having to rush something out, that maybe that gives them a chance to obviously polish it more. So if it was expected, and again, remember that there was a release date leak that had it slated for November, and we have some thought and theories as to what happened, as to why it was delayed, and it makes perfect sense. But if it was slated for November, which we are still in August, right? We're still in August. We still got 3 months before we hit November, and then it's delayed to, let's say, February. That gives the team a lot of breathing room to get in there, check for bugs, make sure that that this game is going to launch in the best way possible. Again, a couple of months delay is not going to hurt it for sales or for pre-orders or for people interested in the game. It just opens up 2025 in a big way. Now, Crispy, I want to bring you into the conversation simply because I have a couple of caveats here. Now, I do have the story. This was not written by Jez Corden. I thought it was. He was promoted it. It was on from WindowsCentral.com. It was written by Brendan Lowry, who is another journalist that I happen to care for a bit. I like the work that he does. It says, report, Xbox to delay Obsidian's Avowed into 2025 after Stalker 2's release date changed as Game Pass holiday season gets crowded. Now, again, the what you need to know section breaks it down for us, and I'm going to just read that real quick before I get your hot take. It says this: a new report that Windows Central can corroborate suggests Obsidian Entertainment's upcoming RPG Avowed is getting a delay into 2025. Microsoft and Obsidian are delaying Avowed in response to Stalker 2's recent delay into November, as the Xbox Game Pass holiday release schedule was starting to get crowded between these two games: Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Frostpunk 2, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So that is a lineup that, of course, you want these titles to be able to breathe. It goes on to say, reportedly, the game itself is in quote-unquote good shape. So it's unlikely that Avowed will be delayed any further due to technical reasons. And finally, it says, the delay hasn't been confirmed officially yet, but it's likely Microsoft and Obsidian will detail it soon. It may be announced later in August during the Gamescom 2024. Xbox will be at the show, and Microsoft has confirmed Avowed will be there as well. Crispy, again, delays, especially if people are looking forward to a particular IP, are sometimes frustrating and disappointing. This is one of those instances that we kind of got to give them the leeway and say, you know what? This is actually a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like with Blob 6 coming out, I don't know, man. I would stay as far away as possible, especially with like a game like Avowed. Yep. I think going into next year, we have plenty announced for 2025, but we don't necessarily think it's gonna be at the beginning of the year. This might be actually even smarter move to say, hey, here's a game in the first quarter of 2025. Here you go. And it's a Game Pass effect. I mean, you don't want to oversaturate. I mean, now you got Modern Warfare 3 hitting there soon. You got all these games that, we don't even know about the Activision slate, like a Tony Hawk or something like that. Could they throw something like that in there? You know what I mean? So that there's a lot to be offered at this point. And, it's Obsidian. I mean, you could play their games and say, oh, there's bugginess, but generally, like, they're pretty darn solid when it comes to, creating a world that you can enjoy. So I think, if there's they're going to polish it. Obviously, Obsidian's not just going to sit there. Maybe they start on a DLC. You don't know. You know what I mean? But to have that release in the best state possible, and it to already be in good shape, and they could release it, it just speaks volumes. I think Stalker 2 has the problem in the situation. It was delayed, and I think that really set the table for them to say what can move back a little bit. And maybe Obsidian, that they were like, hey, we'll take the back seat for a little bit. We'll make this game even better than it could possibly even have been, and work on that even more. And it's probably more polished. I mean, some people say, oh, it looks a little fuzzy and stuff like that. But those are things that we've seen time and again where companies have been able to just all of a sudden months later just make this game look so much better, so much more realistic. And, I mean, it is an art style, but at the same time, I think, as we've seen it progress, I mean, I feel like another couple months, I think people are going to be a little surprised when it actually comes out. And that's because of my belief in Obsidian more than anything.
Listen, while we have you here, before we get into the Bungie situation, which we're going to cover momentarily, I do want to get your hot take on the Avowed delay. Obviously, we have the story here from WindowsCentral.com, and it has been confirmed pretty much that it is not an issue of development. The game is in good shape. It's playing well. It is simply being delayed for how crazy and how packed it is going to be. Obviously, this fall. I like I said it in my opening. I think it's brilliant. I can say bring it down a notch. No one likes a delay, but it's definitely smart. If you don't want to overcrowd a game, especially, and I think that this is an important game, not just for Xbox gamers. I think this is an important game for Xbox PC gamers because obviously they have an affiliation with the Pillars of Eternity franchise. Like I said, I don't, but they do. And that's going to be a pretty big audience. So you want to get this right. I think this is going to be a very important title when it releases, whether that would have been this year or now next year. And I think what this ultimately does is kind of solve a little bit of an issue and again, this is smoke for Xbox. They sometimes leave us wanting as fans for first party in the first 4 or 5 months. They cannot continue to do that. So the delay gives us a game early January, February. And then, of course, we may fall into that one per quarter situation that Matt Booty talked about. Let's get your hot take on
I think we're going to get delay. More than one per quarter next year. It's just there's too many games. That's just really the thing. As it is, we know that Fable, Doom, South of Midnight. Was there anything else that was guaranteed? Oh, and Call of Duty, obviously, is going to come out anyway. So there's your 4 games right there. And we know there's more, right? So we now have Avowed. That's a 5th game. And then there'll be others, right? So they're in this thing. Now, look, it was kind of obvious that something had to move because they had too much all bunched up in the fall. There's other games that we may not think about, but like War Within is coming out, which is a massive expansion to World of Warcraft. That's coming out at the end of the month. You have Flight Sim coming as well. Like all these games, there's so much coming that they really do need to kind of space things out. Once Stalker moved, though, it kind of just solidified that, Avowed you can't do that same. It was like 3 days difference or something like that. It had to move. I'm pretty sure Indie's coming this year. I think we're good there, but we'll see. I think the release dates will all get announced at Gamescom. which is kind of annoying. It's that you have to wait till the end of the month, right? Because I think the opening night live is like the third or fourth week or something like that of August. So it's coming near the end of the month. We'll finally get all these like actual dates kind of put in place. There's a bunch of games though. If you look at the stuff that they have, that we've seen in many different showcases, and they're all starting to show up now that you can play. Like there's like Atomfall, and like there's what's the one where you like Altered something or something like that, where you're a bunch of different
The
of the
altars,
same version.
yeah.
The altars, right? Like all these games are like, oh yeah, replaced. Like, oh yeah, you remember? Like there's all these games like, oh my gosh, and they have all that coming, and all of it to like Game Pass, right? So you have a whole bunch of games coming outside of just their first party stuff. But Avowed moving, I think, just kind of makes sense. You don't want to crowd everything. It kind of just loses its specialness if you just have game after game after game after game. Look, I think it's good to just say Call of Duty is your last game of the year, and then let it go to next year. But it is possible you say, fine, Call of Duty comes out, and then Fable next year comes out a little bit later than that. It is a big enough IP. Maybe it can handle that. I still think it's better to just say Call of Duty is your bookend, right? And that's it. And then after that, you're done for the year, and you move on to the next year and start putting out games. Now we have Avowed finished, ready to go, which is cool. So that means at the beginning of the year, we don't have a lull. We're going to have a major first party game come out. That's awesome. So ultimately, I think this is a good thing. I don't like the lull that we've had. Like most of the time, it seems to be the beginning of the year. We get nothing. Like the couple of years ago, we had Hi-Fi, which is cool. Hi-Fi Rush came out in January. I think it was a stealth, shadow drop.
Yes.
On the Dev Direct. I think end of Jan. But this year we kind of had a lull until we got to, we had Pal World, but that wasn't really first party. We had Pal World, but then, basically we had to wait till Hellblade in May, which is, kind of, I suppose they were expecting Stalker to come out in, I think it was March, slated to be March, and that moved, right? Fair enough. But Stalker, again, is not first party. So that hopefully will not happen next year. And I think South of Midnight will probably be ready to go within a few months after. So Avowed, maybe say it's January, maybe it's stealth drops as part of the Dev Direct that we get next year. And then in March, you get South of Midnight, something like that. But look, they have too many games for them to not be releasing more. So I would expect a lot. Yeah, I would expect a lot next year. Just be kind of every couple of months, you're going to get something big from them, first party, plus all the third party stuff that they keep working, right? So yeah, I think it's a good move. Like you said, though, I don't like delays, but it is what it is. And the reason for this delay isn't even because of Obsidian. It's because of a studio that's been, going through the ringer as it were with GSC, with Stalker. It is what it is. They need more time. Let them take the time. It's been a hella thing for them, right? To go through whatever the hell they're going through, and they're still getting their game out. So good for them. Hopefully it's a good, good release for them. But yeah, so they needed a bit more time, and fine. I think Corken, you were saying, being in that, world of having to do the QA work, having that extra month or so, that's basically what it was coming out at the beginning of September. It's now going to move out to, November. So you get a couple of months, to get a bit more polish on it. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Let's see what they can get with that. It's not like a huge delay. So I'm hoping they know that it's going to be done by then. Yes. Not like what we had with, Cyberpunk, where minor delay, but it really needed a year delay to really kind of polish it. So hopefully it's not that level. But then again, with this studio, I'm going to give them a little leeway. They've gone through enough like crap that they probably deserve a little bit of leeway. Hopefully they get a good release and it's polished. But that's that. Once that moved, though, it kind of made it obvious about had to move out of the way. And then where do you do it? Can you put forward? I hate the idea of pushing it further down, because what happens, right? That cutoff for the game of the year stuff goes away, right? You just aren't in the discussion anymore. So they were right at the edge of that with the November 13 tentative date, right? So that was where they were looking to go. Yeah. So that was like right at the edge. And if they go further, you're basically out of the contention. And that's unfair to Obsidian, right? So I think it's better just move it next year, fine, whatever. And, we'll have a cool game at the beginning of the year. And I think South of Midnight will follow it. I think they're hopefully ready with that one as well. But Indy, hopefully it'll be great. I'm hoping it'll be like a late September, early October, because you also want to stay out of the way of Call of Duty. So hopefully that comes out. And, as others have said, we have plenty of other games. There's plenty of games. And this year's been pretty good. You've got plenty of stuff coming in the Game Pass. Keep playing, enjoy. So yeah, I don't think this is a bad thing. I think it's something expected. I was kind of expecting them to do something like this. Too many games at the same time just is not a good idea. They really need to breathe it out a bit more. So moving one of these off is great. And Avowed's the one that got moved. Fine, fair enough.